you again, everybody. Good morning. My name is Cara Hernandez from the Law Office of Cara L. Hernandez, PLLC. And what do? I do estate planning. Okay, so a lot of people want to know, what makes you tick? Why do you want to talk about this all day? Well, I've been an attorney since 2005. I actually started out with the district attorney's office here in Houston. But it was time to make a change, and when I looked around, I thought, how can I make the best change and impact the most number of people that I love? And so I moved over to estate planning because that's something that everybody can use. People used to get excited when they found out I was a DA, and they would say, oh, you're an attorney, and I would have to tell them, oh, well, no, you don't want to know me professionally or you're in big trouble. But now I get to actually help people every day with things that they actually need. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Michigan, got to Texas as fast as I could, and I've been here over 20 years. So it's definitely home. We love it here. And a little bit about my family. This is my husband, Eric. We'll be married 24 years this coming year. And we've got 3 kiddos together, Isabel, who's 17, Alex, who's 15, and Samuel, who's 12. And 2 years ago, we adopted Davey Alamo Crockett, and he is our resident nurse, therapist, and clown. And he just brings a lot of joy to our family and to our lives. Primarily the thing that my family loves to do together, and this is kind of the only thing that we all universally like to do, is travel. So I'll kind of pop through these. If you see a place that you've been, come see me afterward and we'll reminisce about our trips, because we just love to go around and do things. And I will tell you, this one is kind of cool. That one was many, many thousands of feet under the ground. It's a salt mine, and the Polish salt workers actually made those chapels all throughout the mines, and that was one of the coolest places that we had. So one of the questions I answer every single week is, what is estate planning anyway? And isn't it just for rich people? I don't need an estate plan, right? But no, if you have anything, if you have a house, if you have a little bit of real property, life insurance, 401k, a little bit of stocks or bonds, you need to have an estate plan. So I think we're all pretty familiar with the death side of estate planning. So that would be a will, maybe a trust for some families. But what I'm finding is that a lot of people aren't familiar with the life side of estate planning. What happens if you become incapacitated and you can't make decisions about yourself, about your finances, about your medical decisions? Well, you want to have a loved one to help make those decisions for you. So the other thing about it is we're not just talking about money. We're also talking about leaving a legacy of who we are to those we love. This is one of my whys. This is my grandfather, Lloyd Hoyce. He was a Michigan farmer, grew up very poor, kind of pulled himself up by his own bootstraps kind of guy. He really wanted to make sure that his family was financially provided for, but he also wanted to make sure that he instilled the love of education in us. He was not able to go to college, but he wanted to make sure that we did. But not only did he provide for us financially, I grew up around my grandpa. I sat with him every single Sunday at church. He would hand me his pen to draw on the bulletin, and he would always say, "That's a nice pen, you make sure you give that back now." And so just to have these stories, we want to make sure that we're not only leaving what we have, but who we are to our families. So one of the things that my grandparents did before he passed away is he wanted to make sure that all of his adult grandchildren were able to use the little inheritance that he gave to us. And so this is him gifting me my inheritance. And he would have been very proud because I've used that to start my law practice. And so he was very entrepreneurial, like all of you, and so he would have been very proud of that. So we've carried on that tradition with my in-laws. They actually live with us. So this was the day that they gifted my 3 kiddos their little inheritance. And it doesn't take much, but boy, when you give kids a check, they get really excited. But we have not just the finances, but they actually live with us. And so my kids are getting the values of their grandparents instilled in them. When they think that we hate them, they can always go to Grandma and Grandpa because they know that they have auxilio, they have help and love for them. So a lot of people ask me too, what is the difference between a will and an estate plan? Many people tell me, I just need a simple will. Well, I thought I would bring my own just to kind of show you the difference. So this is my own personal estate plan. And no, I'm not crazy wealthy. I'm just very prepared. So what is actually involved in here? So a will is just a few pieces of paper that tells the judge what you want to have happen with your worldly goods after you depart. But an estate plan involves much more than that. It's definitely going to involve a will. It might involve a trust, but you're also going to need your medical power of attorney, HIPAA, durable power of attorney, and declaration of preneed guardian in case of incapacity. Because here, if you do need to go through guardianship, you don't want a judge choosing who is going to take care of your decisions for you, but you can state that ahead of time. We can do anything, but it has to be done ahead of time. Other things that a complete estate plan will include would be an advance directive, nomination of guardian for minor children. If you have minor kids, you definitely want to make sure you have this. You don't want your parents and your in-laws having to go to court and argue about who gets to keep your kids and who gets to take care of their money. Now, I have family, y'all have family. I love my family, but not all of my family should take care of my kids or their money, right? And so the only way that the judge is going to know that is if I say it ahead of time. And organization. We don't want to put our families through the worst scavenger hunt on the worst day of their life. How many of you have gone through the passing of a loved one and they had everything ready? They had already made all the decisions, you knew where their passwords were, you knew where the paper was. Raise your hands if you've been through that. So, terrible experience to lose a loved one, but not as bad, right, when things are taken care of. Now, flip side, how many of you have been through an experience of losing a loved one and they didn't have things organized and you had to go on the terrible scavenger hunt? Was it awful? It was awful. So be the hero. A big part of estate planning is actually the organization. And one of the best things that an experienced estate planner can do for you is counseling. So how many of you have sat down with your spouse or your loved one and you try to talk about this and it just goes nowhere? Either you leave the table or you can't make decisions. Let me see the hands. It happens. One of the most valuable things that we can do for you is sit down at the table. Nobody leaves. It's not a threat, it's a promise. It's a nice thing. And what happens is a lot of people, you're asking questions of each other, but you don't know. You don't know what the ramifications are from what you're talking about. But if you can sit down with an experienced estate planner, we can actually tell you what the legal answers are and let you know the answers to your question. And we also have some great ideas that you might not have thought of or realized were even possible. So we help bust through that wall that you're experiencing, and we help you get it done, which is what we're trying to do, get it done. All right, so the estate planning binder, we talked a little bit about that. That helps organize your documents, and that's a big part of what the estate plan is about too. And I teach you how to maintain that and make sure that it's actually up to date. So, important to all of you, what does an estate plan have to do with my business? Okay, so we have John Doe, right? John Doe is one person. Every time John Doe makes a new business, he's now cloned himself. And so we have to make sure that not only does John Doe's personal estate plan work, but also that each of his businesses works in conjunction with that. Because some of the questions we want to talk about is, do you have a key man insurance policy? Who's going to take care of your business? Is it going to continue on, or does it need to be wrapped up? And who's the right person to do that? Is your spouse the right person to do that? Your business partner, or somebody else who's really financially savvy? So these are all things that we talk about. All right, so if you have somebody that you think might be able to use my services, great client referrals for me are families with minor children. This might seem strange, but they are the most exposed and usually the least prepared. So they'll often have kind of a back of the napkin, I'm on my way to Cancun kind of plan. That might be okay, not sure if it's legal, it depends on how you've signed it. We don't want to get into that. But you definitely need all of the rest of the pieces of information that we talked about, especially the nomination of guardian for your minor children. I also love to talk with families with college-age children, women, business owners, families going through a divorce. There are very specialized estate planning requirements for people who have blended families, so we need to talk about that. And people without a will, which is 2/3 of the population. So somebody in here doesn't have a will, I would love to talk with you, or you know somebody who doesn't. All right, so in order to refer to me, the worst way to refer to me would be just giving me somebody's telephone number. Why is that? Because of the ambulance chasing kind of ethics rules, I'm not allowed to cold call anybody. I could actually lose my license for that. So don't just give me their phone call, or I'll be like this poor guy waiting and just staring at the phone, waiting for them to call. But the best way to refer to me would be a 3-way text. Even better is a 3-way email. and even better are tacos, because I love tacos. And so if you want to really, really warm it up, we can all sit down and have a meal together, and that way they can start to ask their questions. Great referral partners for me are actually other attorneys, hopefully not angry ones, but other attorneys are great. Financial planners, insurance agents of all sorts, realtors, mortgage brokers, and CPAs. And if you or any friends you have any questions, I do offer a free 15-minute phone call. It usually goes longer than 15 minutes because I get really excited when I'm talking with them. But please have them give me a call. My information is on the table, and I do thank you very much for your time. My name is Cara Hernandez. Let me secure your legacy.